We'll call this meeting Wichita County Commissioners Court to order. Everyone please rise. This time I'd like to call on Commissioner Finn Cannon to give the invocation. Pray with me.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord, for just allowing us to be here today to take in your blessings, Lord. Thank you for all you do for us. Please, Lord, we ask that you continue to be with our country, with the situation going on around the world. Be with our military as times just seem to be getting a little bit worse, Lord. I just pray that you be with our leaders making the decisions. I pray, Lord, that you be with us today as we represent the county and the taxpayers, and help us make the best decisions we can for their interest. All this we pray through your Son's name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Show me the pledge, please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Take seats, please. This time I'd like to ask Commissioner Watts to join me up front.
Is there going to be a flogging or no?
A flogging.
Oh, you have.
David, why don't you join us up here?
Yeah.
All right. This is Representative Debbie Hankins for Wichita County Employee of the Month for April 2022. An appreciation for your outstanding performance, service, and dedication to Wichita County. But from those of us that get to work with you every day, what's worth it? I stop and lean my head and say, I always get that pretty smile. So if you want to present.
Well, yes, Debbie, we appreciate you so much. We selected, the commissioners and I together, selected Debbie because we had worked hard on a grant last year that we had to track, and it was a lot of work with hours and equipment and a lot of detail, which without Debbie's assistance we would have never gotten it straight, which allowed us to use this data for this year's budgeting, which was great. But Debbie, we really appreciate your hard work and sincereness, and we're fortunate to have you in the office. Thank you very much.
Mr. Hampton, you become the official photographer.
I'd be glad to, but I've got to go get my phone though.
Oh, okay.
I didn't get it.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Here we go. Oh, good.
I was going to say, there's no one knows how to take pictures better than Marine.
Okay, here we go. You've been there with combat unit as a Marine Corps photographer, that's required. Oh, yeah. Good, great job, Miss
Thank you, Deb.
Debbie, I'm afraid that reporting for that grant, though, has become the new state standard.
Yeah.
Everybody, they're using that as an example now of what you're supposed to do.
All right. It is 10:08, and we'll take any public comments anyone has from the audience or on the phone. Don't everyone speak at once. All right, if there are.
Judge, I'd like to comment on the Chuck Wagon gang yesterday. Barry reminded me earlier too about, got up early yesterday and did a lunch for Electra in the area to raise money for our senior citizen center there in Electra, Texas. And of course, Chuck Wagon gang's very good group of great guys, and that was a success. So I think they felt they had done a good thing, had a good auction, and sold a lot of tickets. But that was yesterday with all the busy weekend. But I want to just thank them publicly for the work they did.
Okay. Mr. Morrow, why don't you give us some comments on the hog hunt?
Very well attended. Weather was not our friend. The wind had our helicopters grounded more than we would have liked, but they were very innovative and got several runs in, and were able to run early Friday morning, ran a little bit late Friday afternoon, ran a pretty good schedule through the day. Saturday, you calmed down a little bit. For lunch, ran 5 choppers this year, so they were getting it done. Great group of veterans that came in. It's just always exciting to sit around and talk to those gentlemen. They are so appreciative just for the opportunity to come and get to participate in that. There was a lot of activity at the gun range. A lot of those guys were, well, I'm not saying they're sharpshooters, but they're pretty good, you know, and they had a lot of competition going on there because the wind was a problem as far as the helicopter deal. But just a big crowd. It gets bigger every year. It's well done. Certainly special thanks to the Circle Bar Ranch. They host that thing and are a real active part of it. But that program is good. We need to salute these veterans and help them. And all those guys commented. We were sitting around talking before one of the meals, and they said it's just amazing. The one thing nearly every one of them missed from their military service was the camaraderie that they had with each other. And they said this allows us to get back into that vein. And they all usually go away from there making new friends that they'll stay in contact with the rest of their lives. And I think that's the big deal. It's a great service. A lot of people donate. A lot of people volunteer. Not going to name any names, but thanks to everybody that had a place in it. It's a good thing to do for our veterans. It's a good project.
One other thing,
Yes, sir.
Woody Stock came back this week. It's out in my precinct, but this weekend, first time I believe in 12 years. But luckily the rain held off until the end of it. The crowds probably were a little reluctant to show up because of the looming clouds and the weather forecast, but it went off good. There wasn't any troubles out there, and everybody needs to know that mainly benefits our volunteer fire departments. So, you know, that's the main reason I attended, because all your parking, everything benefits the volunteer fire departments. So hopefully that event will keep going in the future and keep help funding our volunteer fire departments. You know, budget money is always getting harder to come by, so we need as many of those fundraisers as we can. So just a shout out to them.
You know, one other thing, Judge, I didn't mention when I got out there driving out, I told Jerry Bob, the owner of the Circle Bar, I said it was important for me to come, and he said, well, yeah, but he said, why specifically? I said, because back in Wichita County, we think we're dry. You guys are dry. I'm telling you, there is a major change when you head west from here. It is devastating out there. And lack of forage, lack of stock water, fire danger, those folks are really, really need our prayers too. And I think they missed this deal pretty much yesterday.
Yeah.
So they need
We
rain.
had parts of the county electric vehicle considered didn't get much.
We got a half, and we were proud of it, but
Yeah.
that's not going to make it. But boy, you get west of Vernon, it gets really serious. So keep those folks in your thoughts. Don't need any fires going on, that's for sure.
Glad to hear Woody Stock went well. Pancake event came off great. Appreciate saw you there. And yeah, we fed just under 6,500 people. And one of the things that was really nice, you know, we honored last January's tickets, but we only had less than 100 of those come in. And one lady came in while my wife was working the door, and she said, I bought 10 tickets, but I just found 10 I had from January. She said, I'll just donate those and you give them to whoever can use them coming in. So people, there's still a lot of generous hearts out here. We could not have done that without the 200 or so volunteers we had. Impact staff really worked well with us. It was their first time under the city to do this with us in years. That all went well. So very appreciative of everybody's support of that, and we'll see you in the last Saturday in January of next year. Okay, we're ready to take anything else on public comments? Okay, it's 10:13, and we will close those. Okay, consent agenda. You have any questions or comments or any items pulled down?
Just question on item 4, that the 39,419 going back into precinct 4, is that, you did use the money to improve your roof?
Yes.
Out of precinct 4 previously?
we-
Okay,
we
that's the
verified
question we
that.
asked last week, so.
Right, and we did verify that, have the receipts, Commissioner produced, showed us.
Yeah,
those,
Matt.
and-
Okay.
No,
Helped
so
us
we'll
with
go
that.
there. Item 6 said there was a drawing attached. I didn't find that.
I didn't either.
I can get that drawing.
What is being, just,
All right, I can go through those two. I see 5 and 6. Originally, we had drawn a new suite for the IT department, keeping the previous IT director's office where it was and redoing the old warrants and collections office for IT. When we started the project, with some discussion with the previous IT director, it said that was no longer necessary, they were just going to keep things as they were, so we took it out of the project. What this does is bring those original ideas back in. We'll take the warrants and collections, the 2 windows, the service windows, take that out, create a conference room, and put everybody associated with IT in that side of the hallway. So,
what about storage? That's one of the things they're hurrying for, is the storage of equipment when they're transitioning. If they have old equipment, or they we've encouraged them to have some backup equipment, backup laptops, backup desktops, and other keyboards and things. They're gonna have a good place to store those.
this won't address their storage needs. This will address their office space needs.
What about the old server room?
The old server room, it's loosened up some now since most of the servers, equipment's been moved to, but that'd be a question better suited for them.
Okay.
There may be some room in the new building maintenance area that we could store some of the larger things.
But I know we need to address that,
Yeah.
secure storage area.
Yeah, I think we can accommodate that.
Okay, good deal.
But the other side of that's in elections, since the IT director office was being vacated and elections needed the extra space, we added some doors and carpet, et cetera, to take that office into the election suite.
Okay. Any other comments or questions on that?
Did we put together, Mark, do we have those spreadsheets?
On the back of the documents connected, there is a list of them that shows every,
Are they in?
Yeah, it's in the packet.
Oh,
It's in the
okay,
packet,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, look
I
at-
just
Yeah,
went
you
to
have
the
a hard
wrong
time
place.
finding that page there.
Look at CA6, it's on the back.
Gotcha.
it's, and that CA6 does show all the revisions, but still didn't address what our original budget was on the whole project. It's just showing the revisions on this.
Yeah, well,
So,
we're still at our $4 million original budget, so this is all still within,
yeah,
in the original budget, so.
yeah, I was reading through that. That is nice I think it's nice to have that on there, to see how that's done. So, that makes a big difference. I didn't see nothing else in there.
Okay, I'm missing, okay, no. Okay, everybody's followed on item 12. That was my quote, was wrong when I said 503 last year. Our last meeting, it should have been 504. But I'm also hunting for the purchasing. Is the purchasing policy on here? Or I read that last night. Okay, when we,
Official procurement policy?
procurement policy.
Number 7.
Okay. It had, one of the things it had in its function very much, which is I know I couldn't find it, I had it highlighted and marked. Yeah, okay. It had some things in it I really thought we might not, one of those was in the bullets on the first, kind of a summary page of that. It says all personnel vacancies except law enforcement. That was our policy quite some time back, but we've had two renditions or two changes that if I have an approved position, and this was Mr. Smythe's suggestion, I think, I'm giving credit for it. He wanted to know if you had a regular position, but then when you had a vacancy, could you go through and hire the person through one of the temporary staffing agencies? Which was a really good idea. You hire them. If they don't work out well, you don't have all the other problems associated. You simply let them go. You go on to the next person. So I'd like for us to go back and revise that so we don't regress, I think, in that policy. So that any open position, they come through HR or coordinate with HR. Some of the departments want to handle it, I believe, Tanya, all on their own. Others will use you all. But this way they go on. They don't have to wait to bring it to court to get it approved. In fact, there was even some question whether we had the authority to do that. I saw some things on the judge's listserv where I think it was commented that once we give them that position, unless we do an emergency revision to the budget, they have that position. But the idea to add it where they could fill it with a temp, I thought was really a good idea. And then down on the one, all technology requests should be coordinated with the Director of Information Technology. We put all IT requests in 412 so that the department has to come in, coordinate with IT if it's going to look up our network, or they're going to look for IT support of it. Then they have to go through and concur in that. And that way we keep that separated from the other 409 purchases. Like you all have vehicles in that goes in 409, and then, we coordinate, because with some of the investment things and how we've looked at picking up on an investment policy, it's going to be important to work with the treasurer for cash flow purposes when we're talking about larger amounts of money. The other thing down in one on department requests for ammunition, tasers, vests, and chemical weapons, that needs to be firearms in there also that go through the sheriff. And what I'm hoping you all will do when somebody comes in because they read the latest edition of Rifle Magazine and they want the Billy Bob two-step bump and go, you go, no, that's not standard. We're not going to get some foreign ammunition, so it's not with your all's concurrence, because there was a reason we went to the NATO round years ago. Bad news when you run out of ammunition and that's the only weapon used, that ammunition. So I think that standardization, y'all have done some allowance in the firearms area, the handgun, but it's still a uniform caliber. We're working with that. There is some discussion wanting to go to 9 millimeters. I think we got a lot of life left in those Glocks. They were just upgraded, exchanged and upgraded.
5 years ago.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years ago. And I don't know, other than range fire, we don't have a whole lot of shooting, which is good. But I'd like for the court to consider those modifications in that policy. Let me see. I'll tell you what, if you read this after 10 o'clock at night, it's guaranteed to put you to sleep. That's all I had to go ahead and your suggestions on that.
Judge, sorry. Matt Davis wanted you to know that he's still on the call if you have any more questions about the policy.
Okay. All right, the other thing is, Matt, do you have any problems with anything I suggested there? Is that on? Can you see the green light on that?
Green light.
Yeah, green lights are on.
Matt?
Hey, Judge.
Yes, sir. Did you hear the suggested changes I made?
So, there are some things on that insurance policy that, we didn't get on there. We wrote that up for lease grants for, they required a procurement,
Right.
policy adopted by the court. And, some of that was their recommendation, so we didn't go throughout at every sort of county just because we were doing it just for a grant policy. But, that's why that was put on the agenda.
Okay, and that's what I, and Nancy, we talked about that, and that's what we both understood. But I just wanted to make a couple of clarifications there, that I don't think are significant. And we'll go ahead and adopt it with those changes unless you all see a problem in them.
Correct.
Okay.
Just so I can,
Yes,
so I can
ma'am.
be sure, I have a couple of changes in that sixth bullet point, but in your first bullet point, how are you wanting it to read? I want to make sure that when the corrections are made, and you all accept it, that I understand what the corrections are. So, can we just talk through the language on those?
Yeah.
Couple right there?
Okay. All budgeted personnel positions may be filled with regular employees or temp service employees upon the vacancy.
One quick
Yeah.
question on that. We've capped temp employees' salary. Would that temp, or that cap not apply?
Not
If we're
apply
high-
to a budgeted position that had.
Okay, so do we need to state that it doesn't apply? We've had that question before in HR.
We could say up to the budgeted
Up to the
rate.
budgeted rate?
So you're adding that as a second sentence.
No, I think we ought to get rid of all of that and,
Okay, so you're taking out all personnel vacancies?
yeah, that is, yeah. Okay, and then, all technology requests should be coordinated with the IT Director of Information Technology. This includes any device that touches the regular and will be budgeted in department or, and then just add the word firearms. Department request for firearms, ammunitions.
And in that same sentence, it looks like deputy is misspelled.
Well, the heading up on the top's misspelled too.
The heading would,
Department.
But I'm not one.
okay, department and,
Well,
I'll
or we
never
use
accuse
department
somebody
later
of
on.
misspelling.
I mean, I'm assuming we can fix our typos.
Yeah. So if we approve it with those changes and any type of corrections. Typos are grammatical.
Yes.
Did you get that text I sent you this morning? I did. Okay.
I'm not saying anything about anybody because I do that about.
Yeah, I can't spell either.
And even doing, even doing the spell check in the
Yeah,
record.
yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It's not foolproof, so no.
No.
While if they were gonna be making changes on their end, I just wanted to go ahead, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else on that?
No.
Good. Motion to approve
Second, with changes,
with changes.
with noted revisions.
Any other comments or questions by anyone? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried 5-0. All right. Okay, item number 1 on business, general business, review and approve the regular bills for payment. Oregon County Treasurer to disperse payroll and bill payments within 72 hours via U.S. mail, FedEx, UPS, or electronically unless directed otherwise, or may be picked up and registered in the treasurer's office. Any comments on the bills?
Make a motion, we pay the bills.
Second.
Any comments by anyone? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries 5-0. Discuss, consider, take action to change the pay structure for the bond office clerks. Chief?
Thank you. When we moved the bond office over last year to the jail, we moved them to a jailer 1 position. There's some changes happening in the bond office as we speak now with Leslie on leave and possibly taking 2 of our bond clerks with her. That office has 5 positions, and they all, with the exception of the supervisor, 4 paid off the bond. They paid the jailer 1 position. We had previously we had a jailer who moved to the bond office, but has gone back to the jail because she would make more money as a jailer with being a jailer 2 or jailer 3, whichever position she was in, and also had the ARPA funds available. So currently we have the 4 clerks paid the jailer 1 position, and they're not receiving the ARPA funds, so it's just a straight paycheck. But we're requiring them to work at least 1 day in the jail because of the shortages in the jail. So not only are they doing the bond office work, but do the jail work too, which was kind of thing we talked about all along. They're all certified jailers. But as we move forward toward the end of this year, I know we're going to lose 3 of the 5 positions, and I'm losing 1 at the end of this week who's taking another position in the county. I just want to make it available to where the jailers, if they have the experience and want to apply for the bond office, that they can come over to the bond office and maintain the same level of pay as far as jailer 1 to jailer 5 pay, and not be hindered by that.
Are they under 560 or 561?
561.
Okay, so you could actually take that one you have in that other jailer position, you can slot that person like y'all did with Margaret forever. She was in a jailer position, but she was the finance clerk.
Yeah, we have those open positions in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can always move them into a jailer 2 or jailer 3 position, but we just didn't have it okay through the court to do that ahead of time. So we had put them under bond office. I think it was 153, 455, 56 or something like that with the 4 positions. So I'm just asking those positions actually just be jailer positions.
Well,
So it'd be bond clerk / jailer.
I think if you're laterally moving your employees, then I think that's all right. I would hesitate to raise all of the bond office positions.
No, only if they qualify for that position.
But
If
they
it's a lateral
can, going
move.
forward,
They
they,
can moving forward, if someone wanted to apply, if they were a jailer 2 and they want to apply for the jailer for a bond position.
Sure.
They would lose that jailer 2 pay.
They would just laterally move
They would
over.
laterally move over, yes.
Yeah.
And they'd also then be eligible for the stipend pay. I think our intent was originally they were
They
eligible.
don't receive it now, but I would like for them to
No,
receive it.
okay, but no makeup on it.
No makeup on, no. No, no, sir, none.
Well, we can't do that. I just want to be sure to say that. Somebody said, well, why don't you,
Moving
you know?
forward, so.
No.
This position was originally pulled in with a clerk position.
It was 559 as a clerk, and then they, part of them being, we know they're gonna go to the jail when we move to the jail, they all had to obtain jailer license. So they're actually our jailers.
Well, that was just so they could get into the jail and work
Yeah,
booking.
but then now they're actually working the jail,
But-
because of shortages in the jail.
It's just, what was the clerk position pay compared to jailer 3 pay?
31.2 versus,
42, so basically it's in the big scheme of things, it's basically you're putting your 5 positions in to make 10 to 15,000 a year.
Yeah. Because a jailer, like a jailer 2 position, get this page here. I have one here. Yeah, jailer 2 pays 37,479 is the budgeted pay, to where jailer 1 is 36,447. But if they were jailer 3 or jailer 4, of course, it'd be just a little bit more.
If it,
It's still more of a clerical position.
Yeah.
A clerk position. And the whole reason that we were given the stipends and the extra money to the jailers for retention, I can see that there would be some jailers that would want to go to that position to get out of working in the jail. And if they're gonna make the same money, then they would be like, well, I can go over there and work in the clerk position and make less money and not have to deal with inmates.
but they're still going to do jail at least one day a week.
Well, as long as we need overtime.
well,
If somebody from outside the county came in and applied and were acceptable for that position, would they would be trained as a jailer?
right,
Go
yeah.
to jail school, yes.
And they would be a
The
jailer
problem I see
1.
with it is we're giving an incentive to lose what we're having a hard time to get. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Well,
But you're still going to have those people. But you also add some depth to having those people all jailer qualified.
Yeah, I get it, Judge, but we're trying to give people an incentive to go away from the positions that we're having a hard time hiring for, which is a jailer. And I don't think that's good business. That doesn't make sense to me. Why would you want to lure somebody away from where you're short?
If someone wants to apply over there, and they already have a jail's license, and I have to put them through jail school. They
We have
already,
to put somebody in jail school
But
to
you gotta
fill
put
in.
somebody through jail
That's
school.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They already have the experience of knowing how the Tyler works, how the booking process works, bookout process works, because everything in the whole county starts at the time of booking.
But, yeah, the other thing is, no matter what, if I'm sitting over here as a jailer now, and I'm drawing, 10 to 30 hours of payday overtime, I'm still gonna be making a lot more money than that clerk over here who's not gonna get any overtime. Hopefully, we're not overtime them to carry into that
No.
1 day a week.
The way I see it, if it's lateral, if you're moving a jailer 2 over to the bond office to make jailer 2 money, then that jailer 2 position is traded for a jailer 1 position. You swap them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, there's net no change at that point.
Because it's already open.
You're just moving this position over to here, and I don't see a problem with that.
If you can find somebody to fill the jailer 1
If you
position,
find
and
somebody
that's
to
been the
jailer 1
problem.
position, yeah.
Well, so, okay.
We're
so-
given an incentive to reduce the force that we need to be building. That's not a good decision.
Well, then how do you?
Am I wrong? I mean,
Well, I don't
No,
disagree with you at all, but
and I'm not picking on anybody. I want everybody in works for Wichita County to have the opportunity to do well. I'm just saying, when I think about this,
And,
But-
and I'll
but
agree with
you're-
you, I thought the
Yeah.
same thing at first, but I'm thinking, okay, it's all part of the same wheel. We've got to have all of those positions
I
full to
understand.
do that job, and we need some experienced people in both places. It's just,
We have-
hopefully, we're gonna develop more.
But you give another position for an incentive to want to stay around and maybe move into the bond office at some point as well. That's an incentive to retain.
it can be.
If I'm kind of reading you all, are you saying if it's a current jailer and the chief, they apply and the chief accepts them, he moves them over, they keep that jail status that they had coming over.
Correct.
But if it's a new person coming in and they go to jail school,
It's a jailer one.
They still have to go through the timeframe
Yeah.
to work.
Yeah, but that was my question, Judge. We shouldn't penalize them if they want to, they're a 561 employee, and if they want to excel and while they're working in the bond office become a jailer 3,
That's
that
just by
should,
time of service.
But will that mean that clerical position in the bond office can then move to a jailer 3 just because they work there long enough?
they should be able
And then
to.
you could be a jailer 4 or jailer 5, still in a clerical position that,
Well, right now, if you're a bond office clerk, you're a jailer 1, and there's no way for them to move up.
Unless, yeah.
There will always be a jailer 1 pay.
right.
So if you put them on the same status with the rest of the jailers, as they earn the time of they've worked for us long enough, they reach that mark, be a jailer 2 at the 2-year mark, and then
Well,
at
that
the 5-year mark, it become a jailer 3.
That seems a little wrong to the
To the other-
county clerk's
other-
office,
yeah.
clerical staff.
That's
that
the
doesn't do
problem.
the same thing.
There's no longevity pay for our other clerk positions.
Yeah.
It creates a disparity.
I'm struggling with that.
Yeah,
Well,
that part of
but,
it,
I
very
mean,
much so.
the answer is let them go become bond clerk.
Well, that's always the,
Yeah,
I mean, the answer.
and that's
ultimately.
true. I mean, if it's a better job, let them go. I mean, they
Yeah,
can
or
be the
go to
county
law
clerk.
school and be assistant DA. I mean,
court reporter school.
And I agree, that is the best option.
that is what you do if you're not satisfied with where you're at, but there's no reason to penalize people that have all of the same makeup or criteria within the jail, that some of them can move up and some of them can't just because of the particular position that they chose to help us
And
with.
that's exactly my point. If they're in the bond office and they want to make more money, they could go be a jailer 2 or a jailer 3 and go back to the jail. You're emphasizing my exact point.
And they're already trained and qualified.
Yeah.
The
Then when they
problem
move up,
is
then they
we-
can go back and apply again for the bond office.
We've got a shortage of jailers. Well, I assume we still do.
We do, we have 12 starting this week.
And it's been an ongoing problem, and we've thrown everything at it we've got. I mean, everything at it we've got to try to fix it. We haven't fixed it. And now we're gonna do something to possibly take away a little more of the incentive to be a jailer. I mean, I'm really struggling with this, guys. I think we're going backward.
What if we limit it that person can't rise above jailer 2 pay unless they go back to the jail? You want to try that?
Well, let's make it complicated, Judge.
Well, I mean,
You're making me dig for reasons to try to
No,
help them solve the
once
problem.
again, I don't want to limit anybody's ability to move up in Wichita
Well,
County. We
yeah.
appreciate our employees and we want to give them opportunities. But guys, we got a problem maintaining jailers. We've got a very expensive problem that's going to eat us at some point. When this ARPA money's gone, hang on. Boy, we need to be going the other way. I don't think this is a good move.
well, I mean, we're losing 4 people out of the bond office, and none of them are moving to the jail. I mean, so they're just as,
They're all moving upward in the county though.
They're moving
So
to the district
that gives
clerk's
a chance
office.
to hire new employees. Because there's gonna be staff that maybe was working in the jail, that was thinking about leaving in the jail because they didn't want to work with inmates. Well, now's their opportunity to shift over to the bond office.
They're probably all taking a reduction in pay to move from bond office to.
Yeah.
And people that quit to go to work at Walmart are also leaving because they don't really like the jail anymore. They want a difference and they're losing pay to go. I've talked with some people like that. I mean, it all depends on where you want to work, what the environment is.
I don't think we change any of the positions. If we have somebody internal that's moving, we
I
honor
think-
their existing pay status, move them into that bond office.
but how can you do that, Tracy? How can you pay Johnny to be clerk 3 and let him make a higher salary because he brings it, but then you hire a guy off the street?
Because of level experience.
You basically bring it from another department.
Well, no, they're in the same.
No, if we're limiting them to
Different jobs.
jailer one,
That's my point, different
It's
jobs.
still under 561. People move up and down in there. And when you've got that many people, there's constant movement of
Well,
personnel.
why do we separate the two? Why don't we all have them all be jailers and work back and forth?
they are.
It's a different job.
Every year's a
They
new
still-
budget too. If we have somebody that's achieved whatever they need to achieve to be a jailer too, we could look at it each budget year and decide on that position at that point. We look at every position every year anyway.
Well, we have an X number of positions for jailer one, jailer
Yeah.
two, jailer, and as they, throughout the year, if they meet the qualifications, move to jailer up, and they automatically move up,
Yeah.
once they hit that time
But-
frame.
But the bond office, I say, it stays at jailer one, and unless we transfer somebody in that's already of a higher status, and then we evaluate it each year for the need. We don't have to fix it all.
So you're saying if someone wants to move over in February, then you talk about it the next
No,
March?
no, if they're already a jailer two, they just stay at a jailer two when they move over. It's a lateral transfer, but you lose that jailer two position. You trade
Sure.
the jailer one for the jailer
That's what it's
two.
designed to be.
And,
So question,
yeah,
so if you have a sergeant working in the jail, if he decides or she decides that they want to go work in the bond office, they can keep their same pay,
No.
leave the jail, and go over there.
No, we don't have a sergeant position in there. They had to go back to the jailer position that they would be.
So if they were a jailer five, if you had a jailer five that's making, I don't even know what they make, let's say 48, 50,000.
I don't know, like, nowhere near that.
The jailer five is pretty high. I mean, a jailer two is in the 42 range. But anyway, I'm just saying, so they can go straight to the bond office and
Yeah.
and make their same pay?
But it comes out of his jailer 5 assets. If he has
he
14
loses that
jailer
jailer
5,
five, yeah.
and he puts one jailer 5 over the bond office, he only has 13 left in there.
Correct.
He took the jailer 1 resource and it moves over into that jailer 1 level. So it's
That's-
budget neutral.
that's the way I see it,
Yeah,
but.
it's a budget neutral, it's
But
like
there
for
shouldn't
like.
be, I mean, that's just like telling Will that, hey, you get 14 jailer 5 positions, and everybody else needs to just hold still until, because they're not gonna be able to do anything as long as we're full. That's not,
It is budget neutral if you can hire jailers.
Right.
We are not able to hire jailers.
And
It is not budget neutral.
I have a question then, also on Barry's deal there. The stipend was intended to keep, the stipend was intended to retention on jailers. Is the bond office getting the stipend? So if they go this way, they are getting a stipend.
They should have gotten, their jailers, they work in the jail. I'm not sure why we lost that in that translation, because I don't know of any effort
They
to
should only,
exclude them.
they should only get the stipend on the same percentage of time that they actually work in the jail.
It's a
Not-
clerical position that to benefit the sheriff's office, they came to us and said they wanted to let them have access to do their bond information in the bookend. So it would be beneficial to have them as a jailer. So that's the whole reason they went to the jailer to start with, but we never had an issue with retention in the bond office or in clerical positions. So now we're gonna throw stipend money at that bond office
If we
too.
had a full jail staff, they would never work in the jail as jailers.
Correct.
I'm telling you, it's not budget neutral. It's not. It would be if you could wholesalely replace the people that you're taking off the jail staff, but we can't do that. We're not doing that. So you're not replacing somebody, you're not taking a jailer 3 out of the jail, putting them in the bond office, replacing them with a jailer 1. You can't hire a jailer 1. So therefore, there's another open slot that we're paying big overtime for. That's my point. If we could hire and fill that slot, yeah, it would be neutral, but it's not neutral under the current conditions. It's
But
nowhere near neutral.
Can we hire, do we have the same level of problem hiring a bond office position knowing that they have to be jailer certified?
Well, they're gonna go through the same
They have
background.
to go through the same everything.
Background.
So you have the same problem either side of the coin.
You do.
Either which. So-
So.
So you're gonna be short as jailers.
You're gonna be
short
short,
bond
you're gonna be
officers.
short one way or the other.
I get it, and I'm not, this is a complicated deal, but, and then
But
there,
as far as,
Standards to be a law enforcement jailer are higher than standards for working at Walmart.
yeah.
And we already talking, pretty much anybody who wants to work for or has a job and unemployment, on what it is in Wichita County, but I mean, it's just 4%, maybe a little bit higher. It's just hard to find people who want to work. Those who want to work have jobs they want to work at. And then those, we're already limited to who we can hire from the jail because they have to meet a little bit higher standard than a Walmart person does. So we're limited to who we can hire.
I hate to be the one that throws this out there because I basically am not one of these guys that say, well, everybody's got to be the same. That's not a really good argument, but I tell you,
there's a difference.
we're going to set a clerk's position up with longevity pay, basically is what we're going to open the door to. Are we going to do that as we asked earlier?
No, we're really not. We're just
Well, how are
saying,
we
if they hire somebody from within, they move over laterally and like position for like position. It's just allowing him to manage the people within.
But you've still got somebody in the bond office that will sit there over the years, if they stay there, and receive longevity pay, because they will continue to move up in their jailer status, will they not?
Well, if you, no.
That was the
No,
ideal.
that's not what I heard, was it?
Okay, but, okay, he throws ideas out, we make decisions. If you wanted to cap that the jailer 2 level is, or jailer 1 level, except for transfers.
But-
Allow him to manage his staff, then you have not affected the deal, you at least reduce that impact, I can't say.
But, I
I'm
mean,
gonna want longevity pay for my people.
Everybody is. I mean,
Well, sure.
everybody in
Once
the.
again, I'm
the-
not on that, but I know what's
We're
coming.
not talking longevity pay. We're just, all I'm saying is like for like. You move,
I'm not following you, Mark. I'm
like,
trying to-
if he
Well-
has a jailer 3 that moves over into the bond office, he loses that jailer 3 position, replaces it with a jailer 1 on the floor.
Okay.
That jailer 3 stays in the bond office.
Right.
No money's changed hands. Nothing changes.
Sure, you have a clerical
So you got a
position that's
clerk
getting
with
paid
longevity pay.
a jailer
Sure
3.
it is.
Okay, but he's,
But they're still subject to working in the jail.
but
Still,
that was my point.
But I wish they weren't, because I'd like to be fully staffed.
Yeah.
The 4 years I've been coming to you, talking about jail overtime every 2 weeks, only one time in 4 years have we had 100%.
Yeah,
I know.
And,
but
It's hard.
Do that again.
it's, the other question was on the stipend. I don't think they should be making the stipend within the bond office. If they're working the jail floor, then they could be eligible for the stipend on the percentage of time that they work on the jail floor,
For the hour for
for
hour.
the hour for hour. So if they work 40 hours in the jail as a jailer, then they should get the additional jail pay like everyone else. If they're in the bond office, they should not be subject to that.
I agree with that.
I agree with that part. But it's,
But I'm still
can't
not
pay them out of jail.
understanding why a person can move over and make X in the bond office from inside the jail, but anybody else that works there can't make that much. That doesn't seem correct to me.
I agree.
Okay, run that through, because.
Well, Tammy can move over to the bond office, she's a jailer 3, and she's gonna be paid X. But
A new
anybody,
hire.
Johnny off the street gets hired, he can't make what Tammy makes. Because we've got it capped at jailer 1 pay only. And that just doesn't seem right, because they're all a big team effort out there, and everybody's gotta go to jail school, and everybody's gotta live by the same criteria. But we're gonna say the people in there can't ever grow. And that just doesn't seem correct to me.
Well, to me, it kind of confuses the,
well, which way do you want it? Y'all are right now, I hope that wire's not hurting you, but you're straddling it pretty
I
hard.
mean, I haven't changed
You gotta
my
come down on
position
one
since
side.
time one.
Well, I'm pretty,
Or you haven't been paying
I'm pretty,
attention to what I'm saying.
I'm pretty solid on my thoughts on this. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if, I haven't reached a plan that I really like here. So, I can be pretty solid on my thoughts, so. The motion is, I mean, the deal's out there to vote on it if we want to vote on it.
Well, I mean, what Will is asking us is to make the bond office make those jail positions the same as anybody walking the floor positions, and I wouldn't see a reason why we wouldn't do that. I mean, he's
And
not going.
one day a week they are. Isn't that correct, Will?
At least one day a week they
Yeah.
are.
And I get that and I appreciate that. But this still just makes it awfully complicated.
I'm sorry, Commissioner, but, you got 2 college degrees, I'm counting on.
But the way that it's not complicated, if they're all the same kind of employee, and they just are paid accordingly as the whole mix, and not to complicate it or convolute it.
Well, then we developed a clerk position that has a ladder, and we don't have any other clerk positions within the county that has a ladder, a longevity ladder.
But you don't have any other department in the county that has that number of people that you've got room to do that. It's pretty hard to have a ladder when you've got 5 people or 8 people in your department.
Well, you can have a ladder if you got 3 people in your department.
Well,
If we're gonna do it on a time-based,
Yeah.
step, I disagree.
If we start down this road, we better be prepared to drive
Well,
the
I
whole
know,
road.
but I don't feel like I have to go, I'm not considering any considerations for road and bridge, because the bond clerks out at the jail that have to go to jail school are gonna make X. I mean, it just is irrelevant to me of what my guys.
And I
Patty and
agree with
Tommy
that.
and
I agree with that
and Lori won't
100%.
be down here in
But
a
it's not gonna
few
keep it from
minutes
coming. I mean,
wanting the same
But
thing.
you know, we've given them, Commissioner, we've given them the latitude to create the difference the last 3 budgets. That they can take that money and they could have incentivized those positions by giving somebody, instead of giving them the whole 1,200, they could have given them 1,000 and loaded up the others with the other 200.
And I'll
They've had those
I'll
opportunities.
disagree with you on that, Judge, because we haven't gave them the opportunities. Our budget is pretty lean here at the county. We operate on a pretty lean budget, and in every department, we pretty much scrutinize the pay. We scrutinize it in our precincts, we scrutinize it in our positions. So we can't, hold on, let me finish. We can't tell them how to do their money. There was a $1,200 raise, it was a great raise. But inside their department, if you're a supervisor and you start taking that $200 away from this one and $200 away from this one and giving it to this one, then it looks like they're playing favorites. So they're trying to be as fair and equal in their departments as they can too, which I think we're trying to do here, so.
No, what they're doing is avoiding saying to Sally, you know, if you'd work harder, you'd gotten all that. Jenny
Right.
is working real hard, and I'm giving her the $200 you haven't earned. But that takes cojones.
That's hard to do.
Judge, can I ask a
Yes,
question?
sir.
Well,
You already did.
in your, I know. Don't hit me with your hammer, whatever you do. Well, in the jailer 1, 2s, and 3s, it's a time deal. What is the time? Just,
From 1 to
I
2
can't
is
remember.
every
We've talked
2
about
years.
it.
From 2 to 3, I think it's 5 years.
Okay.
And then 3 to 4 is 8 years.
I thought it's a progressive.
12 years,
Yeah.
I think, gets you to the jail.
I couldn't remember exactly in that.
Yeah, it's-
Yeah.
But if you're not doing a good job, you're probably not gonna get that.
You're probably not gonna be around long enough to get
Yeah,
that.
okay.
Okay, one other point, just to clarify my mind where I've got a deal. If you move a jailer 2, over into the bond office, in 5 years, if they stay there, they will become a jailer 3, even if they're working in the bond office.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make
Under
sure.
this plan.
Yeah,
And we'll tell the oldest person outside of Leslie is, Michelle came at relatively the same time, and they're 2-year-old positions, right? Who else is there over the same
Robert
time?
came about the same time, Robert Venegas, she came from Breakers over to the bond office. One of the least ones is leading us, and then the 5th person was a jail sergeant who went over there, who would probably be a jailer 4 if she was to be paid a jailer pay.
Wow.
So there's 5. So I'm looking to, quite only we're going to still be in there after this year will be Pappy, which was the sergeant. And I know Gretchel's leaving, and then I understand that Leslie probably will take Robin and Michelle with her to district clerk's office.
which is not unusual.
Yeah.
I mean, that happens.
Well,
We're halfway through this, almost, fourth way through this year.
But Crutchfield and the other girl have been there how long?
That thing's been there probably 8 or 10 years total.
No, in the bond office.
Oh, a month or 2 months, maybe. Crutchfield's only been over 2 or 3 months.
Oh, okay.
And what level is Pat Pinkins?
I think she's a jailer 4.
Right now, she's a jailer 4 working in the bond office, and she gets paid at what level?
A jailer 1 pay.
So she'd be transferred to a jailer 4 position?
She would be swapped over to jailer 4.
Cheryl has a question on
Oh, okay. Cheryl?
Hey, Judge. Okay, question on the ARPA. So the purpose of ARPA clearly was to incentivize the jail. They're working in the jail full time. So if we're going to take this physician who's working in the jail 1 day a week, we're going to give them equal stipend amount to somebody who's working in the jail 5 days a week. So that's my concern is validating that with how we're giving out the ARPA and then of course supporting it. So are we going to give a different amount of stipend for these folks, or are we going to stick with the same thing?
Let Chief Rutledge answer that.
Well, I haven't given a lot of thought. I would say you would take that bi-weekly that we figure in as a bi-weekly and break it down to the hourly rate and just pay that on an hourly rate.
So you do want to go ahead and make it, a different amount basically?
Yes.
Because, that's a flat amount, we're not paying it by hour, we're paying it by pay period, and then you're making it up in the.
It was broken down kind of, well, we did break it down by the hour, broke it down by the pay period, but we had to break it down just one more time to get the hourly pay.
So we're making this about as complicated.
Oh, of course.
I want to make sure that we're being very clear that these people who are only working in the jail 1 day a week are not getting the same equal amount as our full-time jailers.
Yeah.
correct.
It'd be by the hour.
The other thing, the difference between a jailer 1 and a jailer 5 is $3,000 a year, so it's significant, but it's not astronomical. It's not like that would sound.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I have.
No, thanks, Cheryl. No, that had been talked about as being the more appropriate way to do that.
I'll state my statement again, that I'll be in favor of him being able to make lateral changes within his existing budget and let each year stand on each year. And if somebody has reached a new plateau, then we argue that the next budget year. Like we would
If we
within,
counted only a day a week, they'd only get 52 days
Well-
credit for that year, so they have to work, how many years to get a full year?
Leap year.
now you're really making it complicated. But that's the simplest way I know to move forward is,
Well, and virtually, he could actually do that now if he just monitored the ARPA money so we didn't overpay it. I mean, those are all within their budget. So,
to pay the ARPA stipend
Well,
on
the
hourly.
ARPA is, when we passed that originally, it's designed, it is assigned to a specific position.
Yeah.
So we would have to include these positions with that ARPA money in order for them to use it on these.
Yeah, that'd be a separate court order.
Is that, like Commissioner Fincannon said, would that take a separate court order and a separate action, Cheryl? We couldn't do that today with this motion, could we?
yeah.
Well, you modify the motion.
You'd have to,
I think you'd have to modify the motion
Okay.
to include that, otherwise,
Well,
yeah.
Okay.
The motion, the item leaves you pretty wide open, discuss, consider, or take action to change the pay structure for the bond office clerks. I think that's about as broad as you can
Okay.
get.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I don't see how it could be any broader, but.
well, and then what, Will, you would just work with Cheryl to develop what the day rate is for jail.
Like a jailer 1, because that's one kind of off the top of my head. I thought, Sheriff, I'm not right wrong, it's about $115 a pay period is that ARPA money. So if you
Yeah,
broke
because
it
you
down,
got it down and you're making up the difference. and
yeah,
they'll fill
you're
their,
talking like $2.97 an hour.
So 20% of that, basically. if you're doing it one day a week.
Yeah, you're looking at like $287 an hour for 8 hours or 12 hours that work in the jail that one day.
Yeah, and so the only difference would become that they're not entitled to the special all the time ARPA pay.
Quarterly one, yes.
Otherwise, they'd be considered the same type of employee as the rest of yours.
Right. We don't want to give off the perception that, you get that full 7,800, but only working one day in there.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah. Otherwise,
Absolutely.
we get a lot of people signing up for that job.
yeah, I want to sign up for it.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
right.
Yes.
And
Well,
there's some
then-
people that would sign up for it just to not have to work the floor anymore. I mean,
Well,
I'm assuming that's why Papathine went in there to start with.
I think it was for family reasons.
But I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's the reason. I mean, I didn't want to work the floor anymore. I need to do this, so it's a different job. Still staying in the sheriff's department, still making a good income.
But at the same time, they could be a person that put in their regular time at the bond office that could work overtime for you in the jail
In the jail,
if they were,
Yeah, and they do, some of them do that too. I know Prescott was.
Right.
For sure doing that.
right.
So if, let's say they come in and by virtue of overtime, they're working, let's say, 16 hours more a week, would that then give them 2 stipend days?
It would give them 16 hours times whatever
The stipend is.
Stipend
hourly
rate?
would be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheryl, how's that sound to you?
Complicated.
It sounds complicated.
You're welcome.
You handle complicated things all the
Just have
time.
to kind of probably go over it and make sure we're going to be able to put that in our software and it can calculate correctly. I mean, I would like to say yes, it's going to work flawlessly, but I know better than she myself, but.
Well,
It's
we
just-
could approve this and give a target down, let you all have some time on it, that would go into effect 1 pay period from now, 2 pay periods from now.
This pay period ends this week, so
Yeah.
we need to maybe the following pay period.
So, and Cheryl and may be able to think of a better way to even administer it than what we discussed here, but. So that'd be my motion, Judge, that we move forward with the unilateral assignment of positions and that the bond office is not eligible for the ARPA money, but any jail work that those positions do would be entitled to the stipend.
On an hourly prorated share,
Yes.
yeah, but
How about you say prorated share, and then Cheryl can work that.
work out the details.
Right.
Yeah, I'm good with that, and I would second that, but it's a lateral move, like for like.
So question being, the way you did that, so any jailer level can work in the bond office
Yes.
and keep their whatever level pay?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Watts, seconded by Commissioner Beecham, that allows the transfer at jailer level into the bond office and receive prorated ARPA incentive pay.
If they're working the jail floor.
If, yeah. For floor time. Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
4-1. Okay, thank you. All right. Good discussion. Receive update on courthouse renovation, elevator projects, and county courthouse annex.
Had a lot of moving parts last week, and concrete on the first floor.
Think so.
They're going to be able to start building walls now that we've got the concrete in. They're still doing waterproofing this week. But starting next week, they'll be starting building walls on the first floor area. I understand from my discussions this morning that they will finish the concrete at the annex tomorrow. Most of it was poured last week. The only thing left to be poured is right in front of the door because it's stained and stamped, so different pour. So things are moving.
Yeah. When is the Sixth Street side gonna start?
I don't want to start it right away. I want to give them a little bit of reprise for a little while.
While your fence is up, you ought to go ahead and do it.
Well, so the fence isn't up on the Sixth Street side though, just a
Yeah,
little.
just slide around the
Just
corner.
slide around.
Save a lot of setup
Your-
fee.
Your call, but I just thought,
Yeah, I'll visit with them and see when they're wanting to start. But everything else, we did have an issue with the elevator at the annex last week that I was a little disturbed about. I don't know how it passed state inspection without the oil separator being properly connected, but the oil separator on the sump pump was not properly connected, so the elevator was down Thursday and Friday to have that connected. I haven't received a great explanation
I
yet.
bet you don't get one.
No. But it's resolved. But when I got here Friday afternoon, I found out the elevator was not working, went over there and discovered why. That they had electricians in there hooking up the separator pump, so.
Okay. Okay. Anything else, sir?
No. I do intend on having annex proposal for the tax office on this Friday's work session. Those drawings are ready.
Okay. I have 11:11 and we're adjourned.